You prefer I go there or stay here? So let me stay here and see everybody, yeah? Good. Okay, gentlemen, how y'all doing? Good? Gentlemen, how y'all doing? Good? Good. So I had spoken with the president, the chairman, and he asked that I come to see the leadership of the Vanguard Student Unification Party. And I'm happy to be here. And I can assure you from today's date, myself and the MPC and the Vanguard Student Unification Party will work as one entity to ensure that together we can influence change in the society. You see, it saddens my heart. The other day I was looking through the budget. The University of Liberia has been allotted $40.5 million by the government of Liberia. You have a student population of about 25,000. If you add the 6 million that was also pledged by the president, it means you're talking at least almost $46.5 million. If you divided that by the 25,000 students, it means each student is paying a tuition of about $1,800, a little over $1,800, maybe 65 or so. But that's more than the tuition of Cottington, AMEU, UMU. And those schools, the bathroom work, the building look habitable. LU look like it's an abandoned campus where education have not been conducted for several years. Now, the justification that LU must look like this cannot be accepted. That money is just too much. The money is more than sufficient for this campus to work adequately. And I have not even added the $3,500 that you pay as registration fee and some of the other fees that you pay. If you add that, it increases that amount up to $2,000. Think about it. A university where each student is paying $2,000 would be run better than this. Most of the high schools that pay about $800, $900 per year, they function perfectly well. So if you're paying $1,800, there is no justification for the way the campus look. Now, people from the outside may not understand your advocacy because probably it's not being packaged well, but you are advocating appropriately. Secondly, the issue of the quality of education. This is the year 2026. Books companies are online. You can tell me, a university administration cannot even have an online infrastructure where internet can be broadcasted on the campuses and you can have access to online books and teachers are still giving you pamphlet and you're learning books that probably come from the year 2000. Some of the books you're reading, you don't even know the title of it because everything is resting with the principal, and that challenges your competitiveness for the job market. So your advocacy has a basis, and the basis is you want one thing: better education. Nothing more. But you are construed as difficult, wayward, headed. That's not the case. Your argument is simple. Make us job consumable. I'm an employer. Just last week, we tried to hire some people. And these are some of the things that force businesses to look for foreign employees. More than 500 people applied. We couldn't actually get proper 4 people out of 500 applications. Some of the applications I don't know which school these guys went to. And it's the quality of the education. It's not you, the students. It's what we've availed to you. That is the problem. And so your advocacy is solid. So we want to work with you to ensure that you can parcel your argument adequately and get people to see that you're not noise makers. Your goal is you want quality education and you want good education because, look, many of you, like me, come from poor backgrounds. Your parents go through hell. You see, people see the tuition. What's about the daily transportation? They commute from where you come from to come to school. Some of you have to do 2 campuses, Central Monrovia, Fendel. That's a lot of money. Then, of course, the regular hustle. When you come to school, you have to eat. That is difficult. Many homes, the parents sacrifice one child and say, go to school. And so when you graduate on the day of graduation, that joy that you see on the faces of your parents is that this guy has now joined the income stream. And then years later, you're still hustling. And out of the frustration, you say, let me push further. And then you go for some masters. And then even with the masters, no job. We have to get to the root of it. Give you quality education. Give you competitive education. If next door Cote d'Ivoire, the campuses are good. Ghana, the campuses are good for university education. What is our excuse? Let alone, we're not even talking STEM. We're nowhere near STEM. The biggest contribution we made towards STEM was a $1 million package spread around. Think about it. With the quantity of students in school, 1 million package is even less than Joseph Boyka's operational fund. The NSA gets $18 million for operational fund. A push, 80% increment. What is happening? So your advocacy is solid, it's strong. That's why this partnership will give you the muscle that you need to package your argument so that when you are in the street, people will have a buy into you. They will not see you as a group of young, wayward children that are just loose, that basically don't want to learn, but that you are serious and you want to impact the future of our country. Even on the issue of the cost of living. When you look at the budget, you see that international trade moved from 243 million to 246 million from last year to this year. So we're anticipating a collection of 246 million. Even though previously in the 2025 budget, we had anticipated 238 million, but we landed at 243 million. But then this year, they project it at 246 million US dollar. Now that's the second largest income source on the budget. The first is income and profits, 360 million. Why am I saying this to you? You see, what the government don't realize is we are not attracting lots of investments to Liberia. So if we're not attracting, I mean, the only investment Boyka has attracted is his cocaine that he's bringing. You know, he's attracted more than $1 billion in that. But if you take that out, we are not attracting a lot of investment. So it means that the inputs into Liberia are the things that we are actually taxing. So you bring in one little piece of used car, maybe your relative in America give you one used car that costs $500. When you bring it here, you probably pay up to, when you finish all of your expenses, maybe it comes to about $3,000 just on one old piece of car that is probably 15, 20 years old and costs about, it's going to cost you about $3,000. So an old car in America, you pay freight, all right? Maybe it costs you another $800, $1,000 to pay freight. You bring it here, and then you have to pay $3,000 because you have to deal with METEC, you have to deal with container tracking number. In the port, you have APN terminal, you have the port authority, then you have the shipping companies. Between them, then you have LRA. When you're done with all of those, you spend about $3,000. So the government is boasting an increase in revenue that it is spending on itself, but that increase in revenue is making cost of goods expensive for the people. So your cost of living is rising, but salaries remain untouched. This is why the people of Liberia, mainly civil servants, were quite excited when Boyka said, we will restore the money that had been cut from you. So people making $1,000 went down to $500. Some people making 1,000 something went down to 8 something. The cut was between 30 to 50%. So what has happened? Since 2023, 2024, 25, 26, costs of goods have risen sharply. Costs of living have risen sharply. But that promise has not been kept. This is a clear indication that Boyka cannot be trusted. Because that's your principal promise. Your promise is, we will restore your pay. So Civil 7 said, if you harmonize my pay, we'll harmonize your vote. That's what they said to the former government. Now we have a situation, we have this government in power where they have collected more money in terms of revenue. They have also increased their operating expenses, but they have not been able to keep a basic promise. What's about the rule of law? And the whole thing is a joke. You say you set up an asset recovery. The asset recovery get, I think, about $1-2 million for operating fund to take people to court. And the only people that are targeted are people from the past administration. But in this government, if you committed corruption, your pay, fire. Asset recovery don't take you to court for the reason why you were fired in the first place. So then in the budget, they say they will collect $10 million from asset recovery. But so far, they've made no progress because you're going after the past people. You have very limited information, but they say charity begins at home. The people that are in your government, who you have control over and you have access to the facts, not one person from the Boyka administration have been taken to court or been taken to jail for any inappropriate action. Even the guys that are involved in drug, fire. Does firing equate to justice or placement of justice for inappropriate action? No. That's where probably arrest should start. But it looks like it's a pure political action. It's a mockery to try to silence those that are not in power so that they that are in power can steal, plunder, and loot. And we are quite troubled by that. And we are concerned about these things because there are rumors that Boyka has battery in his heart. So a man as he is 80 with battery in his heart, conducting himself this way, now we understand why, instead of encouraging a civil intercourse between government and opposition, he sets up a whole ministry, and all they do is get onto the airwaves, and they are rude, and our children are listening to the radio. When people that are in the employ of the government benefiting from public taxation, when all they do is to insult other people that are stating the facts, then we understand why a man with battery in his heart behave this way. But then the most insulting part, in spite of all this, they say to you, let's give him a new tenure. So it's like, after you elect him anyway, he's going to pass away. Then what happens to the country? We cannot let Liberia slip to looters, plunderers, and drug dealers. That's why the alliance between us and SOUP for us is very strong. But as an announcement, we also came to make. You pay $2,500 as registration fee. We are going to pay for 1,000 students the $3,500. That is something we committed to do, and it is for this registration. Now, how are we going to do that? We're going to work with SOUP. SOUP will give us about 250 students. Even though you don't have the other party here, there's another political party called PROSAC.
We actually attended the Students Unification Party released the only interest of the Liberian people.
Message received. Message received. So we're stepping up to 300 from SOUP, and then the other 700 we want to throw it to the public so that we can have other people. So SOUP gave us the name of 300 people, and we pay for them, and the other 700 people we throw it up using our Facebook infrastructure, so we can get 700 from that, totaling 1,000 that we will pay. I think it comes to about $19,000 or so.
Don't
Thank you.
live! Don't live, don't live, don't live, don't live, don't live. Check out this up on the bump, don't live. Oh, super now die, yo. No! Can you have to get
Thank you so much, gentlemen. So it's good meeting you. I will now listen. If you have questions, if you have a conversation, then we flow. Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is Emmanuel Mokolu, and I report for Inside Liberia. Thank you so much. You have always had an argument. But many have believed that you have argument, but the NPC have advocated most of the challenges, but no one has heard it because your platform perhaps it has not, gained the attention of the public. Now, because SUP is noted for advocacy, you're now using your platform so that your party could be recognized. What would you say, let's say, to people who will see that this? And lastly, to SUP, you have always carried on advocacy. Now, Honorable Simeon Freeman is a political leader. He's about to join you. I'm asking SUP.
So I'm the one speaking, so I will deal with that. Nobody uses anybody. When a man and a woman come together, they both agree to come together. SUP is a student-based organization. Like you rightly said, you say we have a solid argument, we have a clear vision to lead Liberia, but we probably have not formed the right partnerships. So now we're forming the right partnerships. We're in Buchanan. We gave 100 scholarships to the Grand Bassa University. We spread internet on the entire campus. We provided satellite TV. And also we decided to do the plumbing as well. So one cannot say we're using them. Just the other day on my page, we gave up more than $12,000 just to assist people. You can't say that we're using. So we have to form the right partnerships so that we all assist each other. SUP has certain deficits. MPC have deficits. We're coming together. That's not the only coming together. We've also worked with market women and different people where I think just the other day we're in Fiamma. We also assisted. We're also building 2 new market building. You'll be called to be part of that delegation. So what we're doing is we're coming together and we're forming the right partnerships. So the weaknesses MPC had before that made that message not to go forth. Now what we're trying to do is to strengthen that weakness by partnering. So when you say using, it's quite demeaning. We are partnering. SUP is a strong party. SUP is older than the MPC, and we want to work with the student body to ensure that when you see the student body on the street the next time, they will have a much more better shape of the argument and much more force, because then working with us enable them to reach out to other student bodies. Go ahead, sir.
Yo, thank you, Honorable Freeman, for coming. My name is Eugene, and I'm a manager of the party. You spoke about the budgetary allotment to the university. I spent fiscal year 2006, the budgetary allotment is 42.3 million. Regardless of the 6 million proportion to the university. In your SUP has been advocating for 100 million budget. We did not talk about. So in your mind, what do you think? How many budget? What's the budgetary allotment?
So you see, I don't know which budget you read, but the one I read is 40 million, 40.6. And then when President Boyka came to visit you, he pledged another 6 million. So that takes it to 46. Having said that, institutions operate on the basis of tuition. Not so? Tuition is how institutions operate. So you go to high school, you go everywhere else to operate on the basis of tuition. It is that tuition that's used to pay teachers. It is the tuition that's used for renovation, for all of the services. As is, your total tuition is actually about $1,860 something per student. That's huge. That's what we're saying. That's significant resources for LU to function properly. Cottington don't have that kind of money. Go and do your research. Cottington don't have 25,000 students. So the total money Cottington paying is not 40 million. It's far less than that. AMEU don't have 25,000 students. So the total quantity of money they're paying is less than that. So the issue at LU is not about the quantity of money. The issue at LU is about the management of the existing resources. So what is the justification for LU not being able to run properly with $1,865 per student? That's our argument. Because you see, more money doesn't make you a better businessman. What makes you a better businessman is how are you able to turn around $1 to make it $10? How are you able to turn around $10 to make it $100? So in my mind, as much as Soup is a very great party, Soup could probably be creating a situation for people that are misusing or misapplying resources to have access to more resources for no reason. So I hope you see the picture. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Yes, so
Go ahead.
yes,
No, let him finish. You finished?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so my name is Joseph Sally and I report for the closing argument. If you were president, what different ideas or in terms of budgetary support will we see in terms of...
So I think...
Let me conclude.
Go ahead,
yeah. Will we see you giving your administration to the University of Liberia? And B to that, one may say you are from Grand Bassel and you are dealing with public institutions. Why not the private institutions? You have so many Liberians, young people who are attending these institutions. Why are you not?
So the argument is simple, Basna. Private institutions, you have to dissect the economic structure of the country. You can't go and help the rich. You have to help the poor. So those that don't have it, obviously submit their children to public institutions. Those that have it, submit their kids to private institutions. If you're in a private institution, then clearly it doesn't make, equitable sense to go to a private institution. So we're coming more to public because those that are here probably come from backgrounds that cannot afford it. Having said that, as president, what I would do, I will have my budget bureau, which is at the Ministry of Finance, sit with LU and actually say, this 40 million, this is how it will be broken down into budget segments, right? Even though they have similar structure, but then we'll review those structures more carefully. We need to have desks in schools. We need to have the window glasses there. The classrooms need to be functional. We need to have electronic boards. All of these things will be part of that core infrastructure, and it makes it easier for the general auditing infrastructure or the internal audit agency to work with it. As president, generally, one of the things I want to do is to have the internal audit agency and the general auditing agency have personnel at every one of the institutions. I want to move the government from post-audit to risk. So risk means before the action is taken, what happens? It is validated. So before an expense, there is validation and approval rather than going to do, audit, we call it post-mortem. The man died, you're going to establish what killed him. So instead of establishing what killed a man, we want to now move it to examining the man while he's alive and find out if he's sick to make him well to live again. So we want to move most of these institutions because many times when an audit is done, the person has left the office. And then you start to make note. That man stole this, that man stole that. And typically an audit report is not in itself a conviction. That's why lawyers have the term called the weight of evidence have to be weighed and look at in more depth. So under me, those are the things we'll do that will change the outlook. Because when you just allot an amount of money to an institution and then you wait when they spend it, after it should have been spent, then you have an audit bureau come and check. Sometimes 2-3 years later, because the institutions are big. The audit agency may probably take about 4 or 5 institutions this year, right? They don't have 10,000 employees. So what we want to do is to spread it out so that every approval and audit personnel assigned at a ministry gave is basically going to be meeting the approval of his bosses to say it aligned, and so they can shoot and receipts will be given. In our way, we reduce the mismanagement. If we did that, LU is going to change structures. Then, as part of that budget, we want to make sure the books, the quality of the teachers. But mainly under Simeon Freeman, we want to redirect a lot of these folks to technical education. The telephones we use, the shoes we wear, the clothes that comes out of Asia is not built by college students. It's built by people with technical capacity. So this thing that we must push people into University education is not built for everybody. So we want to divide that. Then we have to be part of the technological race. STEM education, science is extremely important. Today, the biggest income earner for America is AI. We're nowhere near there, not even influence or anything. We're not building anything. Rwanda came out of crisis. Rwanda is now the leader in the tech space in East Africa. First, it was Kenya. So you can see people can make real strides and they can get those outcomes. Those are some of the things I will be looking at on our Simeon Freeman presidency. Yeah.
You are from a business background and you have come on to criticize this administration that it lacks in strategy to ensure that job opportunities are provided to the young people. Despite holding a presidential ambition, we are a citizen as well of this nation. Are you open to an employment from this administration to help come on board and solve some of these problems?
No, I'm not. What I'm open to do is, if President Boyka can meet with the opposition, meet with us along with his team of technical people, we can present white paper on various sectors. The approach to the economy, the approach to health, the approach to mining, the approach to different things. And countries are doing it. Ghana has repurposed her gold. So today Ghana is one of the biggest exporters of gold. In fact, the biggest exporter of gold out of Africa, now dominating Mali. Mali has a new approach towards her gold. Don't just come and take my gold and move it up. We did, according to the Vice President, $1.6 billion worth of gold, I think 1.6 or 1.3 out of B Mountain. So we're just exporting raw nuggets. What if we're refining it? Those are some of the approaches countries are taking. So we want to present white paper to say, these are the approaches that can be employed. These are the things that can be done to fight drugs. That's what we want to do. We don't want to come and work under a Boyka and take responsibility for his misstep because he's in no position to lead. Yes, sir.
My name is David K. being a report for Royalty Liberia. You are speaking about the University of Liberia. How are you going to structure the University of Liberia if you are a president of Liberia today? So if you are called today to serve as the president of the University of Liberia, will you be willing to serve as the president from the call from the president, His Excellency Joseph?
So this is the point. You see, and I see where your question comes from. Because our bureaucracy is so large and relevance in our society is always about that I serve in that position. That I am president of the University of Liberia shouldn't be the only way to solve the university problem, right? The president have other choices and options that he can push. However, having said that, like we said, we can present white papers on ways in which these things can be run. And the person that is in power can work that. Let me give you a gist of how American businesses and European and Asian businesses work. The guy who owns that business is not necessarily working for the business. He's just a shareholder. So you see, they have the stock market. The businesses who own, you hear this other business have bought over that business. He's not necessarily working for that business. However, he has ideas that he can pass on to the guy who's running it, and that guy can implement that idea, and they can all agree this is the approach forward. What we from the opposition want to do, our criticism is to recognize gaps, shortfalls, missteps, false starts, and we say, okay, look, these are best practices of how is work here, is work here, is work here. Now, you must have an administration that is open to that. But what does Boyka do? He hires some Zogos that he places in one place, and when you say something, instead of dealing with the content of your deposition, they insult you. And that's the system. So what happened is that the ignorant people are celebrating their ignorance, and whatever you tell them, they come and insult you for saying what you said, instead of being open. So the question the next time Boyka calls a press conference, if he can even ever talk, because that battery is giving him trouble, I'm hearing. So whatever it is, tell him, say, why aren't you open to the opposition, and why do you have Zogos that you have insulting people that are recognizing missteps in your governance? And you can see, those who even argue that opposition is weak, is making a terrible mistake. Left with this government, the whole drug issue would have been buried. We've kept it alive. We've spoken about it. The only difference between we and them is we don't go and lie. Like they said, $100 billion was missing from Liberia. We are, and his government went and did what? They brought in more Stevens and other companies from America. This government has not been able to say, look, we turn over this entire drug investigation to a foreign infrastructure to investigate. The Europeans will be more than glad, because the drugs that come to Liberia is not headed for America, it's headed for Europe. The drugs from America comes out of South America straight into America. When it comes here, they're looking for a gateway into Europe. So in every respect, they have not been open. So under our administration, what we want to do, and under this administration, what we want to do is to partner by presenting alternative methodology. They already have the structure. We just want to present alternative methodology and say, do it this way. It will be better than the way you're currently doing it. That's the challenge. So it's not about coming to work. That's the mindset. Oh, okay, you criticize, so let's put you there. No, you criticize, present an alternative white paper and say, this is the way it can be run. Under my administration, we will not have talks insulting opposition leaders. If you are opposition leader, you made a statement, you know what we'll do? I'm going to have my people call you and we'll say to you, sir, we want to give you the resources so that you can present an alternative white paper. Because basically, I'll be calling your bluff. If you say you know how to run it better, we gave you an opportunity and you can't give us a white paper. It means what you're saying, you don't know what you're saying. But if you just insult people, then you lost the opportunity to mobilize your best resources. So when you read Lee Kuan Yew, he said, look, I wasn't after whether the guy is opposition or not. I just wanted the best brains for my country. And so I brought the best brains together to build what is called Singapore. So today Singapore has underground cities. China has underground cities. Liberia, we can't even move past our rules because we're not mobilizing our best resources. Thank you.
So, Mr. Freeman, quickly, my name is Fire Akademi, a militant of the Advocacy Party. Over the years, we have witnessed a repetition of contradictions at the level of the University of Liberia, ranging from Ophelia Weeks and Samuel Nessie, and now it's Oklahoma. And we have also seen similar contradictions existing at this campus, wherein we have seen a transition of government, ranging from Anna Salif to George Weah up to Joseph Newman Quagga. So the question that I want to pose to you, having considered all of your analysis and all of your statement in terms of making recommendations to the university, I want to know clearly what would be your most suitable and defined recommendation to the university in terms of upliftment, in terms of keeping the university stable and functional, considering that we have had contradictions in change of government at the national level, change of government at the university level. Can you clearly point to what have been the existing problem here and what would be your recommendation?
So clearly, let me start from step one. No university, and I stand to be corrected, no university around the world permits an individual to try a course for three times. Here at LU, you can try the course for 200 times if you want. We need to correct that. I'm sure you agree with that. So we need to set that standard. We also need to review our admissions into the university structure standard. We need to set quota. The largest college is the business college. We need to set quota. We need to say we will admit only 200 new students into the business college and we admit 500 new students into the science college. We'll be pushing more weights. Now, our admission infrastructure has to be straight. The first time University of Liberia did our Madam Salif tenure, you remember? All of the new entrants failed, right? All of those that were applying failed at the time. We need to restore that structure. So if we have a 20% acceptance rate or 30% acceptance rate, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Then we come to the teaching infrastructure. We can have bachelors teaching bachelors. That's never going to work. We can have masters teaching masters. That's never going to work. Then we have to review our book infrastructure. We can have teachers printing pamphlets. That's never going to work. Today, books are online. It's easy. The companies themselves, the guys who print it, we can do a deal with them. We can pay. We can put, internet on this campus. I'm willing to partner with University of Liberia to ensure we spread the internet all around this campus at no cost to the university if we can partner. So that on your phone, on your devices, you are able to access study materials. Now, when you should have done that and you should have restricted the course access, then You look at the infrastructure, the condition of learning itself. You can be in a class. Look, these things are not classrooms. These things are not classrooms. These are recipe for disaster. If you study now and it starts to rain, everybody has to start dressing. You can't focus. So we need to be able to do that. Then the campus itself must be very hygienic. Buildings must be properly painted. When you do that, it changes our game. Now the quality jump. Then the next thing is we want to work with the Commission on Higher Education to have a university curriculum where the standard and structure of it is reviewed. When I went to school, I never learned what is economics. That was never something they taught me. What they taught me is how could I, from an economic perspective, turn a country around? What were the challenges of countries? How could I use economic approaches? Those are the things we were studying. So you see, they were preparing me for the job market. But here, the studies are purely academic. That when you get in the job market, it's a whole new adjustment for you. So every employer in Liberia loses up to 6 months to a year when he hires a new person. Not that you don't have the capacity because of the focus. So those are just some of the nuggets of things we will push quickly through for reform so that LU become that LU. If you fail LU entrance, it's not a death warrant. We absorb you into technical education because I will be focused heavily on industrialization. We can be importing. It doesn't make sense that years ago in 1979-80, we killed a whole president for rice business. In 2026, several years later, we are still importing rice, spending up to almost $300 million on rice importation. We still have not overcome the reason why we shot 13 people on the pool. It doesn't make sense. So these are the things we need to change. All of the things we consume, we can produce almost 60% of that. Every time you produce stuff, you create jobs for your young people. And that's where we want to drive this whole arrangement. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we're going to get progress, Congress. Good progress. So we're now listening to Mr. Simeon Freeman. And then he's asking you.
No, I gotta sell it.
So MPC political leader Simeon Freeman made a big announcement to the Vanguard Student Unification Party and
Secretary General Comrade Ayola David Howard. Militants and cadres of the Revolutionary Vanguard Student Unification Party. It is quite an honor here today to welcome the presence of Mr. Simeon Freeman of the Movement for Progressive Change in Liberia. Let me begin by extending our profound gratitude to Mr. Simeon Freeman for standing in revolutionary solidarity with the militants, cadres, and stars of our movement who commandeered forces on July 27 in opposition to the narcotic regime of Joseph Human Baka. On that day, the young comrades of our party decided to send a caveat to the administration that Liberia cannot be bastardized into what Pablo Escobar did in Latin America. Since his ascendancy to the presidency, Mr. Baka has had 4 different administrations at the LDA. We do not see that as progress. We only see it as an evidence that this man is not capable of presiding over the state. We also want to say that the University of Liberia has served as the intellectual stronghold of the Republic. This is an institution that has trained doctors, lawyers, and engineers. But when you come here, you see a university that is dilapidated. You see a university that resembles a village shrine. The University of Liberia is not befitting of a modern university in the 21st century. And while we applaud the magnanimity and the generosity of Mr. Simeon Freeman, we also want to seize this occasion to send a chilling message into the spines of the regime that you cannot use the personal benevolence of a private citizen to abdicate state responsibility. It is the revolutionary duty, in fact, it is the constitutional mandate upon the state to ensure that public education is financed by those who preside over the republic. Since Mr. Braga became president, he has abandoned the university. Not even 15% of the national budget goes towards education in the republic. This is a president who lied to the Liberian people, who rose on the mantra of education in his reactionary arrest agenda. So on that basis, let me ask all militants and cadres to protect the entry points as the most powerful man on the campuses of the University of Liberia. We man the podium to address our guests and also the Liberian people. Come a leader, come a teacher, come a cadre chairman. Manda! Viva, viva, viva! Students Unification Party, viva! Viva! Commerce! Conscious students of the University of Liberia are the logical militants of the Student Unification Party. So, the Revolutionary Student Unification Party. So, today, welcome the presence of Mr. Simeon Freeman, who has come to collaborate and work with the students as well as the Revolutionary Vanguard Student Unification Party. So, SUP is an institution that believes in progressivism. And in as much Mr. Simeon has demonstrated progress, especially in contributing to the University of Liberia students, the Revolutionary Vanguard Student Unification Party so is wholeheartedly willing to work with you in ensuring that we champion the best alternative for the University of Liberia. In as much we anticipate collaboration, we must also inform the Liberian people that the University of Liberia is experiencing the worst condition ever in its existence. Today, conscious students are being seated home. When Bwaka is going to work, you have government officials going to their various functions. When students who are supposed to be the future of this country, education remains bleak. And their future cannot be guaranteed under the University of Liberia. And honor Tado Mapayan and Mr. Bwaka. Today the university is closed, and the president of the University of Liberia is announcing that school is opening August 25th. But we cannot see registration. School is opening August 25th, and students cannot even come on campus to access that lecture. We see this as a major contradiction. And the Student Unification Party seizes the occasion to call on all students to assemble on campus August 25th as we peacefully, constitutionally demand the unconditional reopening of school. The authority as well as the government of the Republic of Liberia. So today is a day of alignment, is a day of collaboration with Mr. Simeon Freeman and the Vanguard Student Unification Party. So, welcome, and we look forward to a very genuine collaboration that will contribute to the upliftment of the University of Liberia as well as more than 30,000 students of the state-run university. Long live the Revolutionary Vanguard Student Unification Party! So, long live the just academic freedom and peace. Brutal, the struggle continues.
So you listen to Mr. Simeon Freeman. He described the University of Liberia as a death trap for students. This is one of the buildings that accommodate students for learning. The CPAV building. You can see it in a very deplorable condition, dilapidated. Then you have the TH building, also not in a good state. Back there you will see the GH building, also not in a good state. And the president of the university has announced August 25, the reopening of school, but it does not look certain that school will reopen because according to SUP, there's no restriction going on, no activities on the platform, like student paying fees, positioning their courses, and all of that. Then 25th is announced for reopening of school. So my name is Haji. I'd love to say thanks so much for watching. Just a quick recap. NPC political leader Simeon Freeman just addressed the Vanguard Student Unification Party SUP, and he made some promises of paying over 1,000 student tuitions for this academic school year, for this semester at the level of the University of Liberia. 300 scholarships will go to SUP members, and whoever SUP wants to list as beneficiaries of the scholarship, the 1,000 or the 300, then the 700 will go to the public to attend the University of Liberia. So again, I say thanks so much for watching.